Okay, so welcome back to this channel, Rookie Year Soccer. Today, I'm bringing you another interview slash podcast episode. We've got a very special guest today, Niam from MP Sportscards, and I'll let him introduce himself now.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Niam. If you don't know me, I'm on Instagram, MP Sportscards One. I have a podcast, The Purple Patch, so guys definitely check that out. So I've been doing football soccer cards for about not that long, probably about 5, maybe 6 months at this point. But I've been watching the the market for over a year. I've been seeing how it goes, and um, yeah, just taking a lot of the knowledge that I did in my research of the basketball and the NFL card markets, bringing it to football and soccer when that boomed, and yeah, yeah, been growing since then.
Sweet. So yeah, make sure to check out the Purple Patch podcast. I will link that in the description of this video. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I've got the questions here on my phone that you guys put in earlier. And I guess we'll start with the first one. First one is opinions on Neymar. Do you want to take the first one? We could go.
Neymar, jeez. Um, Neymar's hard because commercially he's obviously gigantic, right? There's a reason why he's the third highest paid player, um, behind Messi and Ronaldo. And in the final of the Champions League, it's the first time I actually watched him play for a long time. Um, in that like tournament that they had this summer, and he was really good. Like he was actually really impressive, except for the fact that he couldn't finish
Yeah,
anything. Right? He was putting in man of the match performances every single game, but he'd squander about 5 chances, and you got to be scoring at least one or two of them. Um, I mean, he's still quite young. I think 28, 29,
28.
something
Yeah,
like that.
28.
28, right? So he's still got a few years ahead of him. It's just, does he have that ambition? And where's he going to go now? That's the other thing I worry about, right?
Yeah,
Because Madrid are coming for Mbappe. That seems pretty certain. Where does that leave Neymar going? Are Barcelona going to come back for him? I think his contract expires in 2 years, so potentially go to a big club when he's turning 30. But by that point, is it too late? Is
yeah.
it has he
He's,
wasted part of his career by moving to Paris, basically?
he's very frustrating, isn't he? Because he's so skillful and he's clearly like one of those players that can change a game just in an
Mhm.
instant. But every time I say that and like I'm watching a game with someone, they'll just he'll just have like an incredibly bad performance, and I'm like, why do I continue to sort of back him? But I think
Yeah, I mean,
he's
or he's
just got it.
injured, or he dives, or
Yeah,
there's a lot of reasons not to like the guy as well. Um,
yeah,
he's probably one of the most divisive players there, just because you don't know where I'm going with the talent, the hard work, the image. There's so many different layers to his character and personality. Um, it's quite tough. Personally, I think it's worth having a couple of his cards.
yeah,
I wouldn't go putting all my eggs in like that basket, nor would I buy a ton of really rare stuff because I'm not that confident in him. But a couple of his silvers, a couple slightly nicer things, I think they could do well in the early sets.
yeah. I agree, and I think particularly recently his price is like one of the biggest to take a hit. His
Oh
20 to
yeah,
14 Prism
fell
was
off a
crazy.
cliff.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really like scary to be honest. And then I mean, I made a video about this today actually. I don't know when it'll be released, but I was talking about some prices that I found on eBay, like sold stuff, that's just like absolutely tanked. And I think it was a PSA 9 of his first Topps Chrome blue out of 150, and a PSA 9 went for about £40. And I just thought that was like
Mm,
crazy cheap considering when the market boomed, he was going for like 5, 6 times that, the same thing.
yeah.
So yeah, I'd agree. Like numbered stuff, fractors,
I
anything.
mean, he could be good. It just also depends where you see Brazil going in
Yeah,
2022,
true.
right? Um, that's what it comes down to essentially, because you can buy him up for that because Brazil, as always, are going to do pretty well. But if he's injured and he misses another major tournament
Yeah,
or something like that happens, then you have a real problem with Neymar.
yeah, I agree. It's not like he's young and he's got 4 or 5 tournaments left. If he misses that World
He's
Cup,
got
then it's
this is it. Maybe one more, but this is probably it.
true.
So
There you go. Opinions on Neymar.
yeah.
Right, the next one. Thoughts on Panini contenders for popular players who aren't rookies. That's an interesting one. To be honest, I don't own any Panini contenders. I know a lot of people. I'm going to talk about rookies here anyway because I think you have to compare. I know a lot of people own the Greenwoods and the Fatty. Is that the rookie tickets? I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And for rookies, I'd say that's not like awful, obviously, because it's got the rookie card logo. But personally, I haven't invested any money into the contenders just because I prefer a lot of other sets. Even with like Fatty, you've got his mega cracks, which I think is what people will go back to. What do you say about
Yeah. I personally wouldn't be buying contenders, except some of the rookies I think could be good pickups. I've got a couple of Rodrigo just because I thought he was really cheap compared to Greenwood, and I thought he looked quite good in the Champions League as well. And I got one Fatty just because I wanted to have one of all of his rookies.
that? Yeah.
In terms of what I have seen though, which is quite cool, is when you look at the cracked ice ones, which are out of 23. So I was talking to Tom, Sportcard Tom. He's got a Pogba cracked ice out of 23. I think that's a historic ticket because he's in a Juve kit.
Yeah.
Those are going to be quite stable, I think, just because they look amazing.
Yeah.
They're numbered, obviously. So if you're going for, if we bring it back to Neymar, I think he's got one of those as well. Something like that is going to be quite stable. It's not going to give you crazy returns, but it's a nice card to have. But would I be buying a normal Ronaldo historic ticket? I don't know what they are now, 20, 30 quid, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. I think sometimes they can come off. They don't quite, unless it's a crazy parallel like those cracked ice. I think sometimes it can come off a little bit like cheap. Just having the old image of them. Why wouldn't you just buy that? I mean, expense is one thing, but you may as well just go and buy like an early.
And I think
mega cracks.
Yeah, I think the what they're going to do next year is I've seen them put it in the NBA products is they have there's obviously a space at the bottom of those cards for autos, and when they add those to it, and I know like I think there's Ronaldo and Messi ones of that, but if they could get rookies on that, like if they had a Bellingham, right? Can you imagine a Bellingham cracked ice contenders with an auto? Like that would be a crazy card to have.
Yeah.
So there's definitely potential in that as a product, but those specific cards from this year, I wouldn't buy.
I agree. I think that's a good sort of message. Just to stay away from them unless there's a crazy opportunity for like a cool looking card or like a rookie auto or something like that. I don't think it's the best investment. Right, next one. We've got one from Sunday League Investors. Who's funnier, Bob or Luigi?
Well,
I'll let you take that one.
That's tough.
Say Brian.
I like all of them, man. They're so great. I remember when I was recording with them, so much energy. Like I've never been interviewed or like I've never had that experience with someone where I just was laughing the whole time, and they're all great and they all give off such good vibes. That the conversation literally hour and something just went straight away. Between Bob and Luigi, I don't know Luigi well enough to be fair, because when we recorded, he wasn't free, so I'm gonna say Bob.
There you go, definitive answer there. Luigi's got a shot. Thoughts on? Okay, this is a long one. Musician. Thoughts on non-rookie, non-prism variants, e.g., Donruss, Sun, Purple variant, or I guess you could have any other variant. I mean, I think variants in general are probably a good for like the top players are what you want to be going for, like for long term. That's my opinion anyway. Like, I mean, Heung-min Son is a good example because he's probably one of those players that gets less hype than they deserve. Like this season, he's been amazing.
He always has though.
Yeah,
He's always been underrated, and he still
yeah,
is, which is ridiculous with what him and Kane are doing at the moment. But in terms of like for if you're buying first year sets of top players, so 2015 Select, 2018 Optic, I think 2018 Optic is one of the best sets to buy, especially for parallels right now.
mhm,
I've got a couple. I've been picking up a couple of De Bruyne's, because first year sets eventually do get the love in the hobby,
mhm.
and they will be valuable. And if you can get those graded and they grade tens, the multiply is insane because
Yeah,
they're so off center. Like the quality control on Optic is horrendous. So when you get one numbered out of like 99 or something, like I've got that, I've got a Havertz out of 99. I think it's like a pop 4, maybe a
yeah, the
pop
orange
6
one.
now for a PSA 10. Yeah, it's an orange one.
Yeah,
Um, and one thing I mean, the biggest thing you can see on that is I've seen a shift in the market with graded stuff, right? All the rookies, you'll see, like Havertz, Sancho, Pulisic, even the Messi and Ronaldo 2014 now, you don't see many raw sales. And when you do, the raw sales are really, really cheap because
mm,
people are already looking for 9s and 10s. They don't care about anything else.
yeah,
And so they're the cards they're also submitting the most, right? Because that's why they got the most in the market. So to say that Havertz, who's one of the top prospects in football right now, and just obviously big transfers to Chelsea hasn't worked out yet, but give it some time, I think it will. Um, the fact that there's 99 of these and it's only a pop 4 for a PSA 10, and I think there might be, I think it was 10, maybe 9s or 8s and stuff like that, but
yeah.
they are really, really difficult to grade. So to get something like that, or I think the other one is a 2015 Donruss. I think that might have been the set the guy was talking about, but I think those are just good options to have.
Yeah, I agree. And on that note, like pop reports and stuff, some of the numbers are so low for the Donruss 2018
Mm,
2019. Like just off the top of my head, I think I was looking at, because I'm going to send off a submission soon, hopefully get it back within like a year. And I think it was a Raheem Sterling like Aqua. There was none of them at PSA. Like a Christian Pulisic Gold press proof, like none of them. I think this was like a month ago, but none of them at PSA. And to when I was looking at that, I was literally like, they're both look really nice condition, really good centering. There's a chance that they could be a pop 1, 9 or 10, and I think that
mm.
that is well, I mean,
It's
long term could be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can see. I'm sure you saw that post that kind of went like viral within the football hobby at the moment, like
Yeah,
comparing how many cards have been graded. I think it was like 62K versus baseball, which had like well over 4 million,
yeah,
and even hockey, and even golf had like 140K.
crazy.
There's like, first of all, you think there's not that many people into golf compared to football, right? Number one. But number two, more interestingly, is that there aren't that many golfers.
Yeah,
Like, think about how many football players there are, right? Golf is kind of like Formula One. There aren't that many elite stars. So to have like nearly triple the amount of cards already being graded by PSA is insane. And what we're seeing, and I was spoke to a mate of mine about this a couple of months ago. By the time the Euros, depends on the lag to be fair, but by this time next year, people will want graded cards more than raw cards because the market will eventually change. And we're seeing that already with Sancho, with Pulisic, with these players that are already in really high demand. The market is already shifting. So just imagine how far along we're going to be a year from now and price that in accordingly. Because I see a lot of people choosing raw cards
mhm.
over 9s because they're the same price. And they're like, oh, I could grade it and get a 10. But it's also very likely that you get the card and it's a 9 or it's worse.
Yeah,
So you're better off getting the 9s. I think there's a play there.
yeah, 100%. I think generally like grabbing PSA 9s is such a good idea. Like some, again, I'm going to talk about this in another video, but I'll say it again now. Some of there's really weird eBay auctions recently, kind of like slipping through the cracks almost. And there was a PSA 9, I think it was Top's Finest Haaland in a Salzburg kit from last year. and bids it went for like £60 PSA 9, which I mean you can't even find anything close to that raw at the moment. Like
Yeah, I paid literally 62 quid, I think, for a raw a month ago, or just over a month ago. Like, so
which
to
is
get
nuts. Like
I'd
absolutely,
rather have the PSA 9, to be fair.
yeah. And it's just security. Like it's fun to think that a card might get a 10, and it's like you kind of get that in your mind, like, oh, if it gets a 10, I've got this multiplier on what I paid for it. But at the end of the day, having a graded card in your hand is such a good position to be in. Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember what the question was for that. It was about about non-rookie, non-prism variants. They're a good thing in certain sets.
Yeah, we covered that too.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. What do you think about the 2006 World Cup? Germany, Lionel Messi, worth investing? I'm presuming they're talking about the sticker. I was thinking about this the other day as well, and I don't have any, but I actually do want to pick one up at some point. I really like the Messi sticker over the Ronaldo, obviously, because Ronaldo has his 2004 Euro sticker. I personally think that if you have one that's like well centered and you can grade it and get a decent grade on that, I think PSA 10, the multiplier on it is absolutely nuts. I know that's rare to.
One went that for £7,000 like last week.
It's crazy.
I know, that's the one.
Super cheap raw.
Yeah, but the other one the other thing I saw with the 2006, and I've been going on about this for a while, is the actual trading card collection that they have. The boxes are so cheap in comparison to what's in them. So I think they're less now, but I was buying boxes for £1,000 each. First of all, you based on the checklist, you've got a 50%. Like you have a. Well, a friend of mine actually did the maths. He's really on this. It's amazing. There's a 87% chance or something of you pulling a Messi or a Ronaldo, and that's like their World Cup rookie, right?
Yeah.
Tens of those cards goes for $10,000. It's notoriously difficult to get a 10 because I think the corners and the edges are really, really soft.
Fearful as well a lot of time.
Yeah, but it's just something to, and I would be buying. Obviously, Messi and Ronaldo, good buys. If you can, I'd buy the sealed wax. If you can buy a box of stickers, if you can buy a box of the cards, wait for the other players in that set to take off, right? So Rooney, the first one was 2006. Schweinsteiger, Robben, all of these, and there's way more. I've made a list and I can't remember now, but there's so many elite players that right now they don't have that love, but wait till they do. That box is going to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, they started off like a year ago. You could have picked it up unbelievably cheap, and now it's
literally insane.
Now it's probably still cheap for where it's going to end up, but I don't even want to know. Like in 5 years' time, the comparison to the price a year ago to where it'll be in 5 years. Like if you buy a lot of those, then
my thinking is always, because I've said this, like when I graduate, I'll graduate 6 months after the World Cup, and I want to buy a house. Yeah. And so that's all my thinking is geared. Okay, I'm willing to sell everything I have around the World Cup time, so I can then put a deposit or buy a place. And so when we think about the World Cup and we're thinking about Messi and Ronaldo's last one, like we said, maybe Neymar's last one, all that attention will come back to their original products, like 2006.
Yeah.
And then people will be looking to find value in that. Like, who else is in there? If I'm going to spend so much money on a box, and say I don't pull a Messi or Ronaldo, how am I going to make my money back?
Yeah.
And that's when the other players will start ticking up slightly. That's what I think, anyway.
You've got tons in there. I think you were like Pirlo, Van Persie. I mean, you could probably go on for hours.
There's loads. Yeah, there's loads.
So there you go. 2006 World Cup. That's what you should be looking for. Sealed wax. Next one. What can we learn from the baseball and basketball market compared to the soccer one? You're probably the best person to ask because you nailed this.
Sorry, can you say that again? You cut out a little bit.
Yeah, sure. What can we learn from the baseball and basketball market compared to the soccer market?
Right, so I know nothing about baseball. But I know nothing about basketball either. But I was a basketball card investor first because I was looking at the market trends and I saw what was happening. So the biggest thing I took away is when the rookie prisms go up, the optic will also go up. The select will follow. The PSA 10s will move first, then the PSA 9s will go up in accordance. So constantly you're looking at the multipliers between different sets, different cards for the same player, and it's performance dependent. Like what's amazing now about football is we're getting to the point where games are starting to change prices. Like one game can change. Like Jota, you would have seen, has like doubled. His silver's doubled, or no, more than that, right? It was like $5, now it's like 35. Right, nothing crazy, not crazy numbers there, but it's a really, really good sign that you can now start factoring this stuff in versus I was buying Lewandowski before thinking, well, if he wins the Champions League and then he wins the Ballon d'Or, then maybe he'll go up, like maybe. And now it's like he just puts in hat tricks every week, and yeah, for him you don't see it, but if that's Greenwood, if that's Fatty, or if that's even like Rashford, so a player slightly older, we can see those price movements. So it's just also bearing in mind when's the right time to sell. Understand that people always overprice a player, always, when there's hype on the player. Because regardless of if they deliver or not, people have already factored that in. Like I spoke about this before. If Mbappe had won the World Cup, if he'd won the Champions League, sorry, that $3,000 PSA 10 2018 Prism card would still have probably gone down to about $2.
Yeah.
There still would have been a sell-off because everyone had already factored in like, yeah, he's going to win the Champions League. He's going to make history. First team in France. He's going to do it with Paris. He's French, but all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of getting the historical context of actually how these markets work, because the football one is very new. So the other thing we want to look at is the market in general. So a lot about what Gary Vee's talking about when he grew up in the 80s and 90s. It had a moment then, and that's when it took off. Like right now, it's having a moment again because these things are cyclical and it happened by generation. And football is starting to have a moment, and then you've got to think, okay, when is this moment going to die? And it's going to dip after the World Cup for sure, just because common sense. There's going to be less attention on it, but we're going to be good until 2026, because until the America, like if they have the World Cup in America, which they do obviously, America automatically qualifies for it. And on top of that, they actually have a good team. Like they've got some seriously talented youngsters playing there now. In Pulisic, Reina, McKinney, like Dest, who's been playing brilliantly for Barcelona so far. And they're all like, Pulisic is the oldest, and he just turned 22, I think, or just turned 23.
Yeah, I think the average age
they're going to be crazy
21?
in 6 years. Yeah, 21. I saw that today.
What?
They're going to be crazy in 6 years. They're going to
in 6 years' time,
all these things are worth having in mind. Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
like,
well, not even Reina will be 23.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
Reina will still be 23. Pulisic will be in his prime, like 28.
Yeah.
But Reina's still a kid at 23, and he'll have 6 seasons of professional football under his belt at one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think he's probably I do like Pulisic, and I probably overlook his injuries a bit too much just because I think he's a great player, and I think that his name is so synonymous with the US team.
Same.
And he's like the golden child, isn't he? He's like the first one of the new generation. Yeah. But Reina is an unbelievable talent. Like he's 17, 18? 17, I think. Yeah, 17. And he's putting in the performances that he is. I think his first, that tops Chrome Bundesliga, that could be a incredible card. If he does well, he might get an ACL injury and his career's over, you know?
He could be done. Look at, Dele Alli.
Yeah.
Is he done? Like, he's only 22 or 23, so it's hard to write him off, but Mourinho hates him. He's not playing for Mourinho. Did you watch All or Nothing?
Yeah, I watched most of it, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole time he's like, Deli, you're just so lazy.
Yeah.
Do some work. Um, so you never know when these youngsters and they find that success. Like Dele Alli was undroppable in the 2018 World Cup. Him and Lingard were both undroppable in 2018.
That's crazy to think
Like,
of.
yeah, literally those two and Kane. I knew I was always going to see their name on the team sheet, always.
Yeah.
Um, and now look, right?
Yeah. It's
Um,
a bit of a fall
you
from
just
grace to under.
yeah, huge.
Um, yeah. So moving on to a slightly different question. Let's see. The way Instagram puts these questions up is so annoying. It won't even show me the whole thing. What cards do you think people starting out should get first? It's probably a whole video on this, to be honest.
Literally.
Um, I mean, I the one thing I like, well, I say it in my videos as well, is before you like take my advice or anyone's advice, like just do your own research. And by that, I just mean like get educated. If you're from the US, just like assuming, and you're not like huge on soccer, then you need to just familiarize yourself with like the leagues and the players. That's the first thing you need to do. The second thing I always would say is like just diversify. So when you do decide on players, don't put all your money into one guy. If you looked at like Messi and Ronaldo's prisms when they were in the sort of boom that we had, and you put all your money into one of them, you'd be quite far down now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think diversifying is key. In terms of particular players, I don't really want to recommend anyone because it does change so quickly. I think the optic rated rookies are great. That's what I started personally in the Havertz, Foden. Who else have you got in there? I think one of the first I bought was Vinicius. I've sold him now.
I've got a couple of years waiting for him to come good. But no, I agree. I think it kind of revolves around three main questions, which are one, what's your budget?
Yeah, true.
Right? Like and like where is this money coming from? Is this savings? Is this extra? Is this a bonus that you didn't expect to get?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna actually need this? Like, is this your rainy day fund? Which I wouldn't, right? That kind of stuff. What's your appetite for risk? Are you happy? I mean, and then you got two things in the risk, right? You can buy a bunch of base cards, which are probably going to go up first, and they'll give you percentage wise the highest ROI, versus the silver and stuff, which are obviously more stable, but will give you a smaller percentage of return. And then you have, do I want to buy the established players who I know what I'm getting, or do I think Haaland is going to be better than Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
And I had a third thing and I've completely forgotten now. How hands-on do you want to be? Do you want to buy something, put it in a safe, and come back to it when you retire and sell it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be constantly flipping? Because they are very, very different strategies.
Mm-hmm.
People come to me like, oh, I think this is good. And I think a lot of talk at the moment is around, yeah, but long term, this isn't sustainable. Luca has 13,000 cards, and Mbappe has 2,000 PSA 10s or 1,500, whatever it is, right? And that's way too many based on demand. I was like, yes, that might be problematic in 20 years' time. But over the next 12 months, you're probably going to be okay because demand is always going to be there for that.
Yeah.
It's just once you answer those questions, you can then start to understand what you should be focusing on and what you want to do. Because if you really wanted to go low risk, I want to put it in a safe, and I have a decent amount of money to come in, you go buy a Messi and Ronaldo, their rookie card in whatever grade you can afford, and it's going to be fine. It's going to go up over time. Otherwise, you just buy a bunch of Sancho and Haaland rookies, thinking that they're going to be the next big thing, and yeah,
I agree.
they could flop.
Those are all fantastic points, and I think as well it changed when I only got into the market in sort of like August time, and that was like a really it was I had to be very very careful because you buy at the wrong time at the wrong price.
It was a crazy time.
Yeah, you
That
can
was a
get
crazy
screwed
time.
over. And I saw you post about this, and I completely agree. It went from buying cards for really great prices, and then flipping them a week later or 2 days later for 2, 3, 4x, to now it's become, for me anyway, more of a investment. Like there is still opportunity for those like flips in certain players. They're much less common for me anyway, and I'm starting to look at where like I can find value in that long term or in medium term.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to when you buy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that I've done, part of it was luck. Like I'm not going to say I wasn't lucky in what I did, but I was always looking at what's next. So I bought the 2014 Prism once I saw it started moving. And I was buying the Messi and Ronaldos for like 20, 30 pounds a piece. They've probably gone down to a similar level now, to be honest, probably like 50. But I sold a couple when they were at 200.
Crazy.
Once the 2014 took off, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy 2018. I was buying Werner's, Rashford's, Dybala. I have so many like base cards at home, but I was buying them for like £3 each.
That's crazy.
And then after that, I went and bought in August, and when that was booming, I was like, I'm not touching this stuff because I don't want to pay that much for it. Yeah. I was like, okay, what's next? And I was buying the EPL Prisms then. So I've probably got like 300 EPL Prism cards. Like I will sell. I'm happy to sell Human Song cards now for £11, which isn't much, but I was buying them for one or maybe two.
Yeah.
So there's different like right now I'm happy to just sit back and watch because I don't know I genuinely don't know what direction to go in. So it's just taking that time, doing your research, and don't buy what's now, right? Buy where do you think it's going to go? And then sometimes you've got to take a shot. Because EPL Prism still hasn't taken off in the way I was hoping it would have, just because the whole market's down. Will it one day? Probably, but I don't know how long we'll be waiting for that. You just got to bear all these things in mind. There's so much to think about, and it ends up consuming you at some point. Like you end up obviously it was lockdown as well, right? And I was on my gap years. I had nothing to do, but I'd wake up, get on my laptop, go on eBay. I was like, okay, look, what are we doing today? And then the last thing, when my head hit the pillow, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, I wonder if that's a good buy. I wonder, I don't know. And my dad runs a business, and he was just saying like, that's it. You caught the bug. That's it. This is what it's like when you have your own company. You love these ideas, and it's going 24/7.
No, it's crazy. I'm completely the same. I'm probably at a smaller scale to you in terms of not hundreds, probably around 100 cards. But sometimes like you just wake up in the morning, like, or you'll know that there's like an auction going that you're looking at or something like that, and it's just, along with making these videos, like
I've set alarms for 3 a.m. because I was like, okay, I need to wake up 2 minutes and then I'll bid on this item and hopefully I'll win it and then I'll go to bed.
Yeah.
And literally, because if they're in America, I can't change the time difference, right?
Yeah.
So
no, it's
you got to do what you got to do.
That's another thing. You got to be committed. Like you can't. Soccer cards is not by any means. Maybe if you bought like completely by accident, if you bought like a bunch of cards like in January or something, then maybe it was slightly easier. But now certainly, or like from probably July onwards, it takes that commitment, that time to put in.
And this is what I was talking about on the last podcast I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's that these markets, and it's not easy. Not everything's going up anymore.
Yeah.
It will eventually, I'm sure, but I don't want to be waiting around for a year for something to go up by £5, right?
Yeah.
So and everyone has the same idea. And basketball, baseball, Pokemon, they're much more mature markets.
Mm-hmm.
So people have already sussed this out. Like, I'm not going to make hundreds and thousands of % of return like I was doing before. So right now, when there's no basketball, well, I'm just going to sell my basketball cards, put it into the NFL, and that can make me money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to sell at the end of the season or towards the back end and buy Pokemon or buy football. And that's why when you look at all the markets, they're all seeing huge, huge dips. Basketball in general as a market has gone down like 40%, something crazy. And you would never see a dip that big before. But it's just so many people have come in and so many people are now moving their money and they're becoming like cross sport, cross, like even like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And so you can't get worried anymore when you see these big dips because they're inevitable. but watch what happens when the next rise comes.
Yeah, I agree. I think if like obviously if you've got a lot of money in cards and you see a dip, it's only natural that you're like, oh, it feels bad because you feel like you could have sold them higher. But what you were saying in your most recent podcast about it's just a sign of a healthy market. Like a market that's constantly going up and up and up and up and up isn't
Hmm.
that doesn't resemble any other market that we have, like stock market, basketball card market, anything like that.
Exactly.
Nothing just goes
Exactly.
up. So I think you're right. People maybe who just got into it without knowing, weren't prepared to like be in it for like the medium to long term, probably got quite scared and probably are quite scared now.
Mhm.
So
And a lot of people got burned
mhm.
because I mean, I don't know exactly how you did, but if you come in August, and a lot of
Yeah,
people also came in
we did all right. We did
towards
all
like
right.
mid July. Yeah, okay, that's great. But a lot of people would have got burned, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Buying Messi and Ronaldo 2014 Prism at 3.5 or 4K when they're at the peak, and now they're 500. Like you're not going to touch that stuff again because it's your fault.
hmm
You were undereducated and you assumed that, oh, it's going up, it's going to be good. This is the next thing. Blah blah blah. It's fine if you hold it now in 2022. I'm sure it's going to be worth more than 4 grand. But just a lot of people got really really scared.
yeah. It's crazy. Even I mean, I don't want to like go on about it too much, but even the De Bruyne 2016 prisms, I remember seeing them and they
Hmm.
were like
Yeah.
75 to 100 pounds, maybe even higher at one point.
Hmm.
You can now pick them up for 15 to 20 pounds, maybe less if you
Yeah.
get lucky on an auction. And to me, like that dramatic price drop, I don't like even his insert from the same set, the scoring leaders. That's around £10 still. That actually was like relatively stable. So to me, why is the base card like three or four, £5 more expensive than the insert? It should be sort of it should be corrected eventually to a higher level. That's what I think anyway. So
I
yeah,
mean, the inserts in general are very hit and miss.
yeah,
Just
right,
depends on the aesthetic appeal and how rare they are. I mean, I have a couple of the scoring leaders just like they were literally freebies from people that just put it in, and I don't think they look great. I mean, there's a reason why, and I quite frankly, I don't know how rare they actually are. But when you compare that to something like Kaboom, which
yeah,
obviously look
crazy.
fantastic, and they are like case hits,
Mhm.
um, they're always going to be more valuable than the base cards or the silvers or whatever. Especially because of those are really really tough to grade. There's always, I think the issue with those is that because the surface is actually so shiny, actually for the graders to actually look at it, it's really difficult.
Mhm.
So a lot of them get nines. Um, so I just think inserts again they can be more stable. It could be a different market, but we're not at the level yet where, other than Kaboom,
Yeah,
probably other than yeah, probably only Kaboom. Like they're not gonna see something crazy. Actually, the future star ones are in the top scoring ones. They do okay sometimes for like Havertz and Sancho,
yeah.
but yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's more like the fact that the his base prism, or like yeah, his base prism is so similar in price to the inserts still. That indicates to me that if you have got a base prism, you should be worried about that being at that price because wait 6 months,
Hmm.
Euro hype comes in, and I think we'll
Exactly.
see a movement on that again. Right, let's see if we're probably not going to have enough time for all of these things. Right, I think it's Tim from ESCC official. He said hi from me. There you go. There's your shout out.
Oh, nice Tim.
Here's a slightly different one. How about tips on starting a card hobby page or a card page? That's a very interesting one.
Just just do it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Um, and it depends what you want to do with it as well. I enjoy making some of the other posts.
hmm
Like when I started out, I literally just posted the cards I was buying and like talk to people and blah blah blah. But over time, I think I have an interesting perspective of it. I feel like I'm quite knowledgeable just because I'm more than like because I'm so interested in it. I'm more than happy to do loads and loads of work on it.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to share those insights, and I want to see what other people think about like, am I on the right track here? Am I making a mistake? Can I actually help people out? Like, because you get to just a point where in summer I was getting DMs saying like, oh, I can go on holiday now. Like, I made
Yeah.
X amount. I can, and oh, I'm so glad. I had someone DM me. I was so glad that you did that post on Rashford when he was like $10.
Mhm.
And like, no, it's not nothing crazy. It's like 35, but it's it's a really nice feeling to show that you've helped someone in that way, especially when it comes to like making money,
Yeah.
because, and especially at a time like now, right, when
Yeah.
everything else is
I
going on in the
completely
world.
agree. And I think that in general, from like I think I'm a perfect example because I fell into it so accidentally. I've just loved I love football all my life. Follow it, fantasy Premier League every year. Like it's a big part of my year. Um, and top of the table now at the moment. Just saying from my league table. Anyway, if you don't enjoy like talking about it and making content, you won't nothing will happen, like, because you won't be motivated to make posts, to make
Yeah,
videos, podcasts, whatever it is you're doing. For me personally, I love making the YouTube videos and I love making Instagram stuff because my degree that I do at university is related to that sort of stuff. So it's only natural, like it's just a way for me to like express myself, I guess. I don't
yeah,
take it super seriously. If I grow, then fantastic. Like who doesn't like, getting a bunch of subscribers or followers? That's great. But also I really enjoy it. And yeah, I agree. I love talking to people. Like when people message me, it's such a night. Like people, 99% are really, really nice and polite. And I have never had a bad experience over Instagram or
yeah.
YouTube. So I think the biggest thing for me would just be try and combine something you already like, and then if you enjoy making content and it doesn't feel like a job, then do it.
Hmm.
Because as soon as it feels like a
But
job for me,
yeah,
like I'm out. Like
yeah, and that's also why I've been like less regular posting, because it does feel like, and part of it is important. You need to be consistent and you need to keep doing
yeah,
it. But I feel like I've built up a little bit of like goodwill, I guess, with my followers, because I was so on it before,
yeah,
and now other things come up and it does feel like a chore.
mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to post every day just because I know that that's the right thing to do. If I'm
Yeah,
not feeling it, I'm not going to do it.
yeah,
But it's the other reason why my stuff is so, it's, I won't talk about a PC because I don't have a PC. I
yeah,
won't talk about the love of this because I am obviously I'm a history student, so I love looking at the trends, and I like looking at how the market's going. I think it's helped me a lot to build like so quickly on the business front, and that's why the content that I put out, it's very different to, if we look at Sunday League Investors, it's different to the Football Stop, it's different to Sport Card Tom. He started doing some stuff as well,
yeah,
just because my interest is how am I going to make money this week, right?
yeah,
It's what's going to go up. It's not. It's even less just around football in general. It's just looking at the pure business
yeah,
side of it, because that's what I think, that's what people start to expect of you afterwards, right? Because they come to you for that kind of content. I know I follow Sunday League Investors because they'll talk about everything and everyone, and it's
yeah,
amazing to have that perspective as well.
mm-hmm.
The Football Stop's quite, he does some more like older vintage stuff, um, some more, I guess you call it left field, just because everyone now is around the modern. But it's interesting to have these other perspectives there as well,
Mm-hmm.
and just do like you said, combine what you're interested in with um, the hobby, and already you have a niche there. Because
Yeah,
the chances of someone else doing that, especially right now, when there's probably like 6 people making content,
yeah,
you're going to be fine.
yeah. I agree, and I think it's so true. Like yourself, more on the investing side, like you really enjoy looking at those trends, what's going up, what's going down, and that's part of the enjoyment for you. For me, I probably fall in the middle of like I like making content. I also like the investment side. I also appreciate like nice looking cards, I guess. And I wouldn't say that I have a personal collection because I have like one or two cards, like the Iniesta card, two Iniesta cards, pretty much. That's literally like it. The rest of it will be sold at some point, and I don't sort of. I know a lot of people actually hold like proper value, like personal value to their stuff, whereas
Hmm.
I don't have that sort of collection. So you're right, just make content that you love and that you'd watch yourself as well. I think that's right.
Yeah. And just try plug a gap. Like when I started, it was literally because I was so fed up of hearing people say like, "Oh yeah, Haaland, this Austrian striker." I was like, Norwegian. And literally, if they're talking about the market, they've got Haaland, Sancho, Greenwood, and Messi, Ronaldo. Like they couldn't name players, and I was like, this is so frustrating to listen to.
Yeah.
I already know I can do a better job of this just because I've been following this stuff my whole life. So let me just do it.
I agree. I think that's a great point there. And there is a massive gap now because even though the market had that huge explosion, the amount of content, the amount of like online presence for soccer card stuff is so low.
Oh, it's tiny. It's tiny.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I got into it as well, is because I feel like I can sort of explode into that gap with everything. And I think
huge opportunity there. Definitely.
Yeah. We're close to an hour now. I would like to finish on one last question. I want to talk about Haaland and Mbappe because it is like a constant sort of.
Yeah.
That's one. I know that like most people go Mbappe. I probably would go Mbappe as well. What if you were to pick one card, any budget from each one? Who would you go for, and why? Any budget.
So actually, one of my Instagram posts had this problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said this right now. The top scoring Bundesliga is Haaland's rookie card.
Yeah.
My fear is a year from now, it isn't the one that people want because he can't be left out of the UCL set because he was the second highest goal scorer, and literally he'll create hype for that product. And tops aren't stupid; they're not going to leave something out that makes. Look how many Bellingham rookie cards have come out in the last like 6 weeks, right?
Okay.
They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know how to make money, right? So they're going to have an Haaland card in there. My thing is, if he's in a Salzburg kit, and potentially, I don't know if they're doing this. I feel like he will be in a Salzburg kit because he was in for finest.
Yeah.
But if they have an RC logo on that, it's game over for the other cards. That is the card. It doesn't matter because it's got the logo on it, and it's UCL, and he's in a Salzburg kit. A year from now, that will be the card. I'm not saying the Bundesliga one will be irrelevant, but people would want that card more, and I would definitely want that card more.
Yeah.
So for him, it's hard to say. If I had to pick one right now, it would be the Tops Now one. I don't know if you've seen it.
Which Haaland?
His first ever Tops Now.
The Salzburg one.
Yeah. When he scored, I think it's because he scored
a hat-trick. Celebration like that.
Hat-trick. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one. And that's a crazy card to have. It's like a pop 6, I think, PSA 10, and the print ones are only like 100 and something. Yeah, the print one was absolutely tiny. So, and I think the sales are like 1,500 for that card, which again, still right now, nothing crazy, but who knows where that one's going.
I've got a lot of belief in him.
Sorry?
I've got a lot of belief in him. I think he's.
Yeah, he looks like a monster.
Yeah.
I compare him to Ronaldo just because of like their physical attributes are very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
He's very like Ronaldo now as a striker, not when he was a winger, but that goal threat, the speed, the power, the height, all of it, just the overall athleticism. There's so many similarities between the two. Haaland could be huge. If I was gonna get an Mbappe card, I'd get the sticker.
Yeah.
I get the sticker. They're impossible to get, and they're so expensive right now. Just give it some time. Wait for Mbappe to go to Madrid. Wait for him to win a Champions League. France again, this year's Euros, next year's World Cup. They could go. They could win both of them, quite frankly. And he's in a Monaco kit. It's one of his only actual rookies. So he's got the other random guy next to him, which is a bit unfortunate. But
I think at the time he was actually higher rated. Like he was, I think his name's Corentin.
Really?
And Corentin Jean. But I remember on FIFA, he was a super high prospect.
No way.
Like
that's crazy.
15, I think he was one of the high potential players.
That's so funny.
Which is so ironic, but
I mean, they both came out of nowhere though, Mbappe and Haaland. like within one season, everyone was talking about this kid at Monaco. I mean, I'm sure like even I'm a Man United fan. I did not think Greenwood was going to be as good as he was, just because I wasn't really following the academy stuff much. And I'm sure if you followed Monaco's academy, or for some reason you're a Salzburg supporter, you would have known about Haaland and Mbappe. But yeah, it's crazy how fast they've accelerated. Like Mbappe's on the cover of FIFA 21, and he is 21. It's insane.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. And I think now, because he's got this limelight, there's starting to be like haters come in. And I think it's because PSG aren't doing well this year. But I literally, every time anyone even questions Mbappe, I'm like, look at his stats. His stats, I think it was the 2018, 2019 French League season, or maybe the year before that. His stats were unreal. Like, and I know it's Farmers League and all that, but
that's the only issue that I have with it. And obviously the Champions League, PSG, I think, got quite lucky as well with their draw and how it all turned out. But
yeah,
let's see what happens when he goes to Spain, or somehow if he comes to the Premier League, and then we'll know, right? Because I mean, look at Havertz and Werner have both struggled quite a lot since coming, and it's not just because Chelsea are in an odd system. They've both admitted like this league is so much tougher than anything we have in Germany, and that's a stronger league than the French. So
yeah,
let's see how he does.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. And I think that either way, over the next few years, we're definitely in for some exciting European tournaments. I think that's pretty much everything we covered. Sorry if we couldn't get to your question in time. They quite often end up sort of spiraling into a little bit of debate. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode. So if you want to plug your stuff for the last time, whatever it is.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Like, I know I came to you, like, we rearranged it. I came super last minute, so
It's cool.
Appreciate you making the time. But yeah, guys, have a look. MP Sports Cards 1 on Instagram, Purple Patch Podcast. I put out, I want to say, semi-regular content at this point. I'm going to get to a stage where it's a bit more regular. But yeah, got a couple of good things going on there. So check it out.
Awesome. And for everyone watching this video right now, if you did enjoy it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got so much more content coming soon. And yeah, I'll be back with another episode very, very shortly.